Welcome to another Proficiency esl-lounge reading lesson video. Today we will be reading a postcard from nowhere. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Platitude, a dull or obvious remark, especially one made as if it were important. Cynicism, a distrust of the motives of others, a belief that human conduct is motivated by self-interest. Ubiquitous, present, appearing or found everywhere. Pantomime, a situation in which people make a great show of feeling something but do not actually feel it. Futility, the quality of having no purpose or effect, pointlessness. Poignant, evoking a keen sense of sadness or regret. Perfunctory, carried out with a minimum of effort or reflection. Veneer, an attractive outer appearance that conceals something's true nature. Soporific, tending to induce drowsiness or sleep. Pathology, a departure or deviation from a healthy or normal condition. Great! Now you know the key words, let's read the story. The heat is the first thing you forget, and the first thing you remember upon return. It's a physical presence. A weight on the air that smothers sound and slows thought. A soporific blanket over a city that never truly sleeps. At noon, another permanent and lasting ceasefire was announced. General Mbote, a man whose ill-fitting uniform strains a little more with each new peace deal, performed a well-rehearsed handshake with President Kaylan, whose smile never quite reached his eyes. They spoke of hope. They used the usual platitudes. I wrote them down in my notebook, the ink feeling wasted on words I knew to be hollow. You are, I am sure, struggling to place this conflict. The details are interchangeable, a mix and match of post-colonial grievances and venal politics. The ubiquitous blue helmets of the UN are here. The aid agencies have their fortified compounds. End of page 1. Let's continue. Does it matter where we are? To name the country would be to suggest its troubles are unique. They are not. The geography is merely a footnote to the pathology. Away from the veneer of diplomacy, the city continues its own weary rhythm. The low, constant thrum of a generator outside the hotel is the true anthem of this piece, a reminder of a national grid that exists only in memory. I sit at a roadside cafe, watching an old man methodically sweep dust from a patch of pavement already immaculately clean. His eyes, when they meet mine, hold no illusions. They are filled with a profound cynicism that no politician's speech can penetrate. He has seen this pantomime before, we both have. End of page 2. Let's continue. I have a collection of these handshakes, these signed documents, stored as digital files. They are transient souvenirs from a dozen near-identical conflicts. Each one was hailed as a historic breakthrough. Each one dissolved within months, sometimes weeks, leaving behind nothing but a fresh layer of bitterness. The initial optimism of my youth has long since curdled into a kind of professional detachment, a necessary armor against the futility of it all. War doesn't always shout, often it whispers, a slow erosion of hope that is far more corrosive than any bomb. As if on cue, a dull crump echoes from the hills. A mortar round, it is too distant to be an immediate threat, but its message is clear, a punctuation mark at the end of a fraudulent sentence. The old man stops sweeping for a moment, listens with an expert's ear, and then, with a sigh that contains a universe of weariness, he continues. Nobody else flinches. End of page 3. Let's continue. This is the reality of a ceasefire here, not an absence of violence, but a recalibration of its rhythm. The ceasefire, not yet 6 hours old, is already an abstraction. Later I will file my report, I will quote the General and the President. I will dutifully mention the cautious optimism, a phrase I have used so many times it has become a cynical shorthand. But the story I cannot write, the one that truly matters, is the one contained in that old man's sigh. It is the poignant truth of a city that refuses to hold its breath for a peace it does not believe in. It is in this gap between the official narrative and the lived reality, where journalism fails and the truth resides. By tomorrow, the world's attention, such as it ever was, will have moved on, another crisis will have erupted elsewhere. And this postcard, from a place you cannot name, for a peace that never truly arrived, will be just another forgotten story. A souvenir from nowhere. Okay, time for a few questions to check your understanding. Question 1. What does the author's physical description of the two leaders suggest about the peace deal? A. That both men are under significant physical strain from the long negotiations. B. That the agreement is insincere and the event is a staged performance. C. That both leaders are genuinely committed to lasting peace, despite their obvious exhaustion. D. That the international community has forced them into an agreement they dislike. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. The description of an ill-fitting uniform and a smile that never quite reached his eyes implies a lack of sincerity and a focus on appearance. Question 2. The author chooses not to name the country in order to emphasize A. The danger to themselves as a journalist. B. The confidential nature of the peace agreement. C. The need to protect their sources and contacts in the region. D. The repetitive and universal nature of such conflicts. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is D. The text says naming the country would, quote, suggest its troubles are unique but they are not, highlighting the universal pathology. Question 3. What does the low, constant thrum of a generator symbolize? A. The city's recent investment in modern, sustainable energy. B. The failure of the state's infrastructure and the superficiality of the peace. C. The presence of international aid agencies bringing their own equipment. D. The sound of progress as the city begins to rebuild itself. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. The text calls it the true anthem of this peace, and a, quote, reminder of a national grid that exists only in memory, showing the peace is only a surface veneer. Question 4. How has the author's perspective on their work changed over time? A. They have become more hopeful about the impact of their journalism. B. A youthful idealism has been supplanted by a protective cynicism. C. They have decided to focus on the positive stories of reconciliation instead of the conflict. D. They have grown more angry and interventionist in their reporting style. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. The text states that the, quote, initial optimism of my youth has long since curdled into a kind of professional detachment, showing how idealism has been replaced. Question 5. What does the distant mortar round reveal about the ceasefire? A. That it has already been officially broken by both sides. B. It is an audible contradiction to the pronouncements of peace. C. That rogue military factions are trying to sabotage the peace deal. D. That the sound is likely a leftover from previous fighting and not a new attack. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. The mortar round is described as a, quote, punctuation mark at the end of a fraudulent sentence, directly contradicting the official peace. Question 6. What is the poignant truth that the author feels unable to adequately report? A. The complex historical grievances that led to the current conflict. B. The exact details of the secret negotiations that led to the ceasefire. C. The quiet disillusionment of a populace used to broken promises. D. The names of the soldiers responsible for breaking the ceasefire. Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. The author focuses on the story contained in The Old Man's Sigh and a city that refuses to hold its breath for a peace it does not believe in, which shows their disillusionment. Let's quickly summarize the lesson. On this screen you can review the main points of the text and the key vocabulary. Finally, here are a few discussion questions. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this ESL Lounge video. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons, and we'll see you in the next one.